What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday. TGIF, Jersey, Red, Rusty, I see you. Indeed. TGIF. How's everybody doing? We got to keep warm, right? It's a balmy 20 Fahrenheit here in Nashville, in the Nashville area tonight, and I see that it's cold everywhere else. We're of course, probably not in Sydney though. Good day, Peter. What's up? It's probably summer down there, right? But Bob, it's snowing in Denver. 27 Celsius in Ottawa. That's cold, folks. 21 in Jersey. What's up, Elias? Welcome. HH in Ottawa. Good to see you. Steve, what's up? Nikki the dog in Tulsa. Danny from Arkansas. Happy Friday. Igor from Mexico City, as always. Good to see you. John, good evening. Zane, what's up? It's going good. Duke 49 from Missouri. Good to see you. James, Syracuse, -1. Oh my gosh, crazy. Mario from Norway. Good to see you. Jeff, 15 in snow in Minnesota. 15 in Missouri. Ryan, what's up? Jay, what's up? What's up? 19 in Brooklyn. Oh my gosh, everybody's freezing. Staying in with a guitar tonight, okay? Regina, I don't even want to ask. Regina, Ryan, I don't even want to ask what the temperature there is in Regina. I'm scared. I'm scared to hear it. What's up, Ray? Good to see you. Alrighty, right. For those of you joining for the first time, expand your description below this video. I'm going to just lower this down a little bit. There we go. Get a little more in the frame. See, look at this, in 94 in Melbourne today. Steve, enjoy your summer down in Australia. We're freezing up here. Excellent. Expand your description below this video. If you're just joining us, there's tabs. There's a link to a PDF that has the tab for what we're going to go over tonight. Tonight is a rhythm styles workshop. Really all it is just a bunch of different styles, some examples of some rhythm guitar, maybe just delving a little bit into lead guitar tonight, but mostly rhythm guitar. I'm on an electric tonight, but all of this stuff works on an acoustic. If you're on an acoustic guitar, you're still good. Okay, some of this stuff is a little bit trickier when you start getting into the leads or more complex riffs to play on the acoustic, but great exercise to at least try. But a lot of this stuff translates well, all right? Tien from Vietnam, as always, good to see you. Audible, you're back. Audible Headache, what's up? Darton, good to see you. All right. Yes, we all want to be in Melbourne today, don't we? All right, well, thanks for joining. We'll go right into the first exercise tonight, a pop rhythm, pop rock rhythm, maybe. I'm going to play it a couple times, and we'll dig in a little bit, all right? I think it goes something like this, so... So usually just starting with some sort of strumming exercise. What's tricky about this one are some rests in there, and also the upstrokes. We're doing, we're kind of leaning into some upstrokes. Starting off with an A sus4, A7 sus4 actually. Okay, and we're basically playing off this open A7 chord. Okay, so that we're just got the open A, second fret of the D, open G. Second fret of the B string. Turn my guitar a little bit so you can kind of see the fingering there. Mario, thanks for that. That's awesome. Excellent. Arthur, all right, good to see you. And if we change that note, that's the major third of the A7 chord, second fret of the B string. If we just go up one fret, we turn it into a sus4. And it has that floatier sound, as you can hear, right? Almost that Hard Day's Night kind of sound, almost. That was a little more complex, but sort of that vibe, right? So we're starting off with a down up on that, and then we're going to cut it off. We've got a rest. What's up, Ozman? Good to see you. I'm going to actually bring this up a little bit more just because so you can see it hopefully a little bit better. Okay, so, and then what we're going to do is just kind of karate chop that because we got some chords with open strings, so we have to mute down here with our strumming hand. So it's just sort of a karate chop. Okay, and I kind of do that on the motion of the downstroke. Now, as I do that rest, I'm going to move back to the A7 chord, down what we're fretting there. So the 3rd fret, we're going to move that back down to the 2nd fret. And we're getting into a flow with upstrokes, but on the downstroke, we're actually just using the karate chop on the strings to deaden them out, to mute them, right? So that's that first bar. Okay. Now at the end of that, we're going to go right into the next chord, which is an open D. Okay. You see, I've got the open D string as the root, 2nd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B, 2nd fret of the high string. But I've also included the open A string as well. So technically it's sort of a D over A sound, but a lot of times we play an open D and we just include that open A. It doesn't tend to muddy it up as much. Sounds nice and thick, okay? What's up, Glenn? Welcome, welcome. And you see our strum pattern is exactly the same on that 2nd bar. So now I'm coming back in with a down up. And then again, a karate chop with the rest. And then on the upstroke, I'm adding my pinky onto that D chord, 3rd fret of the high string. That turns it into a D sus4. Okay? Cutting that off. And then back down to the open D for that last upstroke and letting it ring out. So I'm going to go real slow. That's our strum. What's up, King 50, North Nevada? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you, as always. All right. Okay, a little trick on this one is that we don't want the low E ringing out on this. And if you're doing these sort of open strings, the open A string and sometimes the open D string, you're going to kind of maybe hit that low E. And you'll notice that I got my thumb over there, okay? And just making sure that if I happen to hit that low E string, it doesn't ring out, because it's going to muddy up everything. And in fact, over the D chord, it's not going to sound right, okay? On the A chord, and E is part of the chord, but it's just going to muddy it up a little bit too much. Okay? Okay, so that E string, we don't want it in there. So get that thumb over there. Okay? Especially on the upstroke. I mean, a lot of times you have to kind of dig in a little bit more on the upstroke to get it to sound as consistent as the downstroke, right? Kind of have to put a little bit extra into it. And then you'll probably graze that low string. So you want to just get that thumb if you can. Right? Makes sense? Craig, what's up, man? Jim Gregory, what's up? You both made it. It's all good. Hot in Melbourne. We already heard it's hot in Melbourne. Rubbing it in almost at this point. No, enjoying summer down under. That's awesome. All right. Yeah, so up to speed, maybe a little bit more of a pop rock kind of groove. Okay, that kind of vibe, just to kind of get it going a little bit, right? Now that's a 1A exercise, and I've got the exact same thing in 1B, except I'm using some higher inversions of the chords, just to introduce you to some ideas where we want to break out of open position and maybe play some of this exact same riff up the neck a little bit. So what we're going to do is grab this chord shape right now. You're going to bar down on the 5th fret, but from the D string all the way up, 5th fret, and then add the 7th fret on the G string. You can even add that open A string to it. And so listen to the difference in this chord. You're adding kind of a higher note there. Okay, same quality to it, that floaty kind of sound. But now you've got that high A note up there. Okay? Excuse me. So All we have to do to get this from an A7 sus4 is to move the 7th fret of the G string down 1 fret to the 6th fret. And that gives us an A7 in the 5th position. Okay? Now, a little bit tougher to grab things with the thumb, right? I guess you kind of can. So on this one, you want to really work on trying to just get the upper strings on this. Okay? Because I've got the way that I'm doing this, I've actually got my thumb moved down to the middle of the back of the neck. Same strum idea, but now I'm concentrating a little bit more just on the upper string. Okay? Second half is sort of not quite as full on the D chord, grabbing a double stop actually. So I've still got the open A, open D, just barring down on the 7th fret of the G and B string. Okay? And then I'm going to get, it's that B string that's going to get the 7, 7, 8, 7 to give it that sus4 back to the major sound. All right? So the second exercise. That's the idea with that one. Maybe up to speed. All right, so just trying to show you a little bit of how you can break out of, some things you can do actually when you're practicing stuff, okay? Don't just practice what's on the page, or if you come across a video and somebody shows you something and you practice that, right? See how many different ways you can play it. Try to expand on it. Take the idea and bring it all over the neck, okay? That's where you really kind of figure out and learn this stuff, is when you branch out of just, one thing that you've been taught or that you've seen in a video or whatever, and kind of just mess around with it all over the neck and see if you can figure out how to make those different chords up the neck, okay? And try out all these ideas all over. And that's where you get to hear things and kind of stumble upon things and really grow. Hopefully. Make sense? All righty. So that's exercise 1. Pop rhythm. All right. So rhythm styles. I thought we'd get into something we haven't really talked a lot about. Surf kind of rhythm, like the Ventures. Okay. This is really fun to play this kind of stuff. You're going to get good at your bar chords. And this particular riff has got a few extra things. So this comes from a song called Perfidia, which is on Guitar Tricks. Okay, so check it out. I taught this one. There's a lot more to it than just this. But pretty much here's the idea. This is one of the chord progressions in the song, and a cool little riff as well. So let's see if we can play it here. Here we go. So that's the idea with this one. Okay, so all I've got sort of transcribed is that kind of stuff going on. And so first thing I've got going on is getting the rhythm going with some single notes as a sort of a pickup. Using one finger to do this, right? Starting on the G note, coming up to the A, coming up to the B, and then landing on a C chord. C major, bar chord, 8th position. Okay, so this is really just coming up the major scale from a 5th away, which is, or the 5th in the C major scale, which is G. So hopefully you can hear that, like. Okay. So just coming up the C major scale and landing on the rhythm. You're getting into that groove of down, up, down, up, down, up. And then boom, right into the C major bar chord. Down, up, down there. Now you want to keep that rhythm going. So as you change chords, you're going to lift off and move to the next chord shape. And as you do that, you're going to give a little mute right there, right? Like that, right? Then you're going to move to this E minor over B. So you can keep your bar, right? You have it on the 8th fret for the C. You can just move it down 1 fret. Now I've got it on the 7th fret. And I'm going to keep the same general shape of my fingers, making the C major, but I'm going to move it up a string set so that now when I move down 1 fret, it actually becomes an E minor. The fingers are arranged exactly the same, but now I'm putting them on the 9th fret of the D and G, 8th fret of the B. James, what's up? Good to see you. And also including the low 5th in that chord. Okay, so you can keep that bar all the way on all 6 strings. So, okay. From there, you're going to go down 2 more frets, exact same shape. So as we do the upstroke muting, we're going down 2 frets. Okay. And it's actually a down up because on the next downstroke, you're going to come to a push or an anticipation where we hit the G major chord 3rd position. So now you're moving fingers back a string set to get G major right there. Okay. Kind of on a downstroke instead, on the upstroke, sorry. Right? So. It's a little bit tricky on that last chord. You know, we'll go real slow. And then we're going to fill it in with a few more up, down. Okay, just an up, down at the end of that. So. All right, so the key thing that I hope you've been seeing is that I'm keeping time going like this. You know that I say this all the time, right? Happy New Year. Back at you, James. Thank you so much. Okay. Keep this going. That locks into the time. Okay. Is it an error in the tabs? Where about exactly? Did I make a mistake? I may very well have. 3 chord is major in tab. 3rd chord? Yeah. Did I screw up that 3rd chord? Oh man, I didn't go down. Yeah, that's a B flat. I apologize. Yep. What's up, John? Good to see you. Mario, good eye. Okay. I made a mistake. I'm going to fire the transcriber, which is myself. Okay. So, and I also didn't put the actual chords up top, which I should have. Okay. So, what'll happen there is if you play this, it'll be a little bit different, right? Same sort of exercise. Okay. So, if you're watching this video, what it's really supposed to be is a D minor, which is the same shape as the 2nd chord, which is an E minor. If you bring it down 2 frets, D minor going to G. Okay, so if you check out this song on Guitar Tricks, it's transcribed correctly. I somehow missed, and it ended up being, you are correct, it ended up being a B flat major chord when it should have been a D minor over A. D minor over A. D minor / A is really. Okay, so it's a B flat there. That's a mistake. However, if you were to just practice this, it's still, I mean, it's a little bit different sounding, but it's still cool. You can still practice this. Okay. HH, I apologize. Yes, I messed that one up. I thought I proofread it really well, but hey, there you go. It actually sounds kind of cool. So, you know, if you're going to do this as an exercise, you know, it's not going to be too bad if you're the only one playing and you just play that chord instead of the D minor. But if you're watching this, print out the PDF, scratch it out, D minor over A, or check it out the version on Guitar Tricks, and you'll see the proper thing. Okay, so good eye, Mario. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the correction there. All right. So we play through that riff 3 times, and then there's sort of a tag onto that riff where it goes to the open E. And what you do is do this, which kind of is adds this like sort of raked strum, which you can see transcribed with the arrow going up on the strings of the tab. That means to kind of hit the strings like that instead of just a strum where you're hitting everything simultaneously. You sort of do this fast arpeggiation like that. Call that a rake strum, right? So that's how this part goes. And then you've got an arpeggiation on the top string, and then the B and G string. All right. Then you cut it off, come up to the G bar chord, and hit it on the and of 1, starting on an upstroke. Messed it up. Okay, that's what we're going for there. Everybody hanging with that one? I apologize for the mistake. It's a B flat chord there, the 3rd chord in the riff, repeated riff. Really, for this song, it should be D minor. I messed it up. But everything else is as it should be, and I think kind of a cool thing, right? One more thing you could do with this is, do a really clean sound if you're on an electric and crank up the reverb, right? That'll give you that sort of surfing sound a little bit. I clicked onto the bridge pickup too to just make it a little bit brighter. So sound-wise, that's something to experiment with. If you got an amp with some effects or an amp with reverb on it, Fender amp. All righty. Excellent. Okay. Exercise 3, Rockabilly. This is actually kind of a bluesy. You could use this in blues or rock. Hong Kong, what's up? R. Ballesteros. Hope I didn't butcher that too bad. Good morning back at you from Hong Kong. Hope all is well there. So the first thing that you'll see at the top of this, exercise 3 we're on now, Rockabilly Rhythm with or without palm muting. So I'll just talk about the notes first. First thing, though, that you see is above the description for this exercise is the 2 eighth notes equal eighth note triplets. Okay, so we have a shuffle feel. So instead of that's playing down ups all equally spaced out. But if you push the upstroke a little closer to the next downstroke, you get that swing or that shuffle. We're playing off an E chord, so if you can imagine, that's what we're going for, up to speed a little bit, okay? So if you got a big old Gretsch with a Bigsby or whatever, kind of that rockabilly sound where it's a lot faster, that kind of a riff, okay? So what you can do is you can play this sort of wide open. Let's slow it down a little bit and just talk a little bit about the notes first. So playing off the low E, 3rd and then 4th fret. So we're going from the minor 3rd to the major 3rd. This is sort of a hallmark in bluesy, blues-based kind of music. Up to the 5th in the chord, which is the B note. And then some chromatic notes. Landing up to the E note, 2nd fret of the D string. Coming back down 5 and 4 on the A string, and then 2 picks on the B note again, and then back to 3 and 4 on the low string, okay? And the idea is to repeat that, right? So, like anything, right? Like you can play this, you get this up to speed really fast. What it requires is you to practice this super slow and make sure that your timing is nice and solid and make sure that your notes are smooth and executed properly. Over and over, right? You want to do this for like 5 minutes in a stretch and just stay that slow and make sure that you're swinging those picks, right? That the upstrokes are going to do, down, up, down, instead of down, up, right? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now that's off the E chord, right? Oh yeah, let's talk about the palm muting a little bit. So what you can do if you get up a little bit faster. Okay. Adds a little bit of a texture to it when you've got some light palm muting going on. Karate chop down by where the strings come out, the saddles, right? And just resting across those low strings. Okay. Messed it up a bit. So I got to slow it down and practice that a lot more. But that's the idea. Practice it with palm muting and without. You get all these different sort of vibes to it, right? Next thing we can do with it is apply it to the 12-bar blues progression, right? So if we go to an A chord next, we just move it up a string set. Right? If you want to go to the B, you sort of have to just adjust it and play the same notes as you would for the A chord. But now you got to move it up 2 frets, and the first one is not an open string. Okay? So what you have to do is hit the B note, 2nd fret of the A string, and then quickly position shift up to the 4th position. Go to 5 and 6 on the A string. Okay? And then onto the D string, you're going to go 4, 5, and 6, right? Then you've got the high B note up in the 4th fret of the G string. Then you're going to come down 7, then 6 on the D. Then back to 4 on the D. And then 5 and 6 again on the A string. And then probably back down to A after that, right? So that's the idea there, right? So you can think about it a little bit and transpose it into a 12-bar blues kind of thing, which would be somewhat typical for a rockabilly song, right? It might not be an exact 12-bar blues type thing, but it'll definitely use that 1-4-5 progression in some form or another, right? It may do that, may not, right? But that's a common kind of thing to have happen. Audible. I was hoping for just straight rhythm guitar, but this is out of my scope of playing right now. Well, hang with us. We still got some straight ahead stuff, okay? Hang with us. And even if you are doing that, that is going to help you, okay? If you practice that for 5 minutes a day, pretty soon you'll be going. Okay? So don't shy away from something like that. If you think it's just a little bit beyond your scope, you can use this anywhere, right? Right? Think about it as a finger exercise and a picking exercise, and just go real slow with it. Okay? What about the 1-4-5 starting on the E string? Yeah, that's right. So we're actually, what's tabbed out here in exercise 3 is the 1 chord. Okay? Sorry. That's all meant to be played over an E chord. Okay? So that's what I was talking about. If you're going to the 4 chord, now that's an A chord. So the first note of that should now be the A string. And so you're just moving up all the same riff to starting on the A string instead. And then back to E, right? And then the B, off the B chord, that's what I was, you have to start on a B note and kind of adjust it. Yeah, I didn't tab those out, but I just wanted to show you what you can kind of do if you figure it out a little bit. Does that make sense? Makes sense, King 50, that we are sort of on the E, right? So you could expand it up to E, A, and then B if you want to. Cool, cool. Everybody with me? I hope I didn't scare you all off with that, playing that too fast, right? Just work it real slow, okay? You work it like that for a little while, it'll start to come, okay? Commit to it. Commit to doing 5 minutes of that slow, okay? Maybe, you know, once per practice session. You'll find in a couple of weeks that you'll start to be able to feel like you can play it a little easier, a little faster, okay? And you won't have to think about it as much. What happens is you're programming the fingers and the muscles, okay? All right, moving on. I promise this stuff won't be as complex, or will it? I don't know. I think we're pretty straight ahead here. Okay, cool. Exercise 4. Here's another one from Guitar Tricks, actually. I stumbled across this one as a random lesson. Danny, keep at it, man. Keep at it. All good. Just a straight up country kind of melodic riff rhythm using double stops. Okay. How to play Living on a Prayer. Oh, man, maybe we can get to that by the end of this. Okay. James, I like that. Right. Oh, man, I can't even remember how to play that. Oh, well, we'll figure that one out for next time, James. But back to the country double stop riff, okay? Let's see if we can play this. Okay. All right, so that's the riff. Let's play it a little bit slower. I kind of almost hear sort of the shape of that riff being, you know, kind of played with a pedal steel kind of thing, right? All right. Now, you can straight pick this, right? You can just pick 2 strings at the same time. Okay, these are all just 2 notes at the same time, which is what we call double stops. 2 notes at the same time. What's up, Peter? Thanks for showing up. All good. You can rewind after we're finished, watch the whole thing. And for those of you joining us a little bit later, and you don't know this, expand the description, and there's a link to a PDF with the tabs for what we're going over tonight. So actually, this starts off with a really sort of common country sound, okay? And of course, I was saying that you can straight pick this too. I'm using a pick and a pluck on the B string. At the same time, a little bit of hybrid picking just to give it a little more snap, but you can pick it too, okay? Or if you want to use all fingers, okay, use the thumb on the G string. What we're playing are 2 notes out of a C chord, starting off. Okay, here's a C bar chord right here with the root on the 5th string. I'm just playing the C note, higher octave C note, and its major 3rd, which is E. And then a common move here where you move to this different shape. Now you've got 7 on the G, 6 on the B, and you play it chromatically up. And when you land on the 9th fret and the 8th fret, you're back on a C chord. Okay, this time you're back on the root 6 E chord with E and then G, which is the fifth. So you hear this a lot with country. That kind of sound, or... All right, so it's sort of like a, you know, kind of... Then we've got this next chunk. Okay, so barring down at the 10th fret of the G and B, up to the 8th fret of the top two strings, and then back down to the C at the 5th fret. We're just barring down. Okay, so... And then this next one is just on the G and B strings. Okay, so I'm going 7 and 6 on the G and B, back to 5 on both, and then 4 and then 3 on the G and B string. Now that's highlighting G major. You can kind of see in the chords on top of this progression, your rhythm would change to G at that point. And then another little riff right here. So back to 5 on the G and B, back to 4 and then 3 on the G and B, and then landing on 5 on the D and G. So you're changing string sets there to sort of land back on the C chord. Okay. And if you want to, you can add a little bit of vibrato to those, right? Okay. All right. So your country sort of idea is just these melodic double stops that sort of outline the chords a little bit. It's basically a melody with a harmony on top, but also just seeing this country move right here. And kind of experiment with it both ways. All right. A really common sound in country. You with me? All right. Hopefully that was a little more straight ahead, but once again, all of this stuff can be straight ahead if you just try and go real slow. Okay. Once again, that one is on Guitar Tricks. Just do a search for Wildwood Flower. I think that's some sort of a traditional song sort of arranged into a tutorial on there. So use the search function if you want to see more of that kind of stuff. Right then. All right. Blues. Let's talk a little bit about blues. I've got 5A and 5B exercises right here. And of course, we're going to extrapolate this into a 12-bar blues. But basically the riff, you can play it and just adapt it to the 1, 4, 5 chords. And then there's a turnaround that I transcribed for this. This is taken from one of Christopher Schlegel's blues tutorials on Guitar Tricks. It's not part of the blues course, but Christopher Schlegel's got a bunch of blues tutorials that he has sort of in support, just to have lots of extra content for you blues guys. So, you know, really do some digging around on that. Christopher Schlegel's got tons of material on the site that is really good stuff to dig into if you feel like deviating from the courses or just want to, or you've already done the courses and want a little bit more kind of stuff to think about. All right, so that's the idea of that. Not really so well played by me, but you get the idea, I think, of it. Just sort of taking almost like a lick and making it into a repeatable riff for a blues. Okay, so once again, we're in that shuffle sort of sound. Instead of 1 and 2 and 3, it's more 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. First part of this is classic blues, barring down at the 5th fret of the G and B, and just a bend up and down. And then you're going to go to the 3rd fret of the G and B, pick it, and then hammer onto the 4th fret of the G. Okay? Then we've got 5, 3, and 5 on the D string. And then you're going to want to go down to the 3rd fret of the low string. So we're playing a G, F, G, and then a lower G to make it into a riff. So, and then you repeat that all through. Now, if you want to move to the 4 chord, right? You're playing off this G shape right here. Move it up to C. Now we're at the 8th position and just play the same riff. Okay? Back to G, the 1 chord. Okay, 5 chord is a D. So we got to go up to the 10th fret. 10th position, right? Back to the C. And then here comes the turnaround, which is 5B. Okay? Starts on G. Okay, so starting on the G note, 3rd fret of the low string. And then I'm going to hit the octave, 5th fret of the D string, and then chromatically come up on the A string, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, back to the 5th fret. Now you've got your 9th chords, right? You're going up 1 fret to D sharp 9. Down to D9. What's the 9th chord? It's the, if I show you D9, it's the 5th fret of the A string, 4th fret of the D string, and then the 5th fret of the top 3 strings. Go up 1 fret, and then back into the riff. So let's try that turned around one more time from here. Okay. For you blues hounds out there, all right? Blues licky kind of rhythm. All right, alternative to just, of course, you can just, which always sounds great also. Okay? We good? Cool, cool. All right, exercise 6. Straight up early rock. Paul Revere. I was thinking of I'm Not Your Stepping Stone. And this one's nice to get your downstrokes going a little bit. Okay. We're starting off with an E chord. Right on, Jim. Excellent, Mario. Oh, man. Play some Weezer, huh? I can't remember any. I did do a Weezer cover set once, years ago. So it would have been maybe 10 years ago, something like that. And I don't remember any of those songs. But yes, maybe some 90s alt rock, right? All right, so think of this early thing, right? Simple chord progression. E, G, open A, and then C. And the shape of this is that you're accenting on the backbeat, which would be the second and fourth, okay? If you're thinking of the drums, kick, snare, that's where you're sort of digging in a little bit harder on the full chord, right? So I'm going to hold the E chord, but just sort of hit the low part of the chord. And then the second downstroke on the second beat of the bar, I'm going to dig into the whole chord. Do the same thing for the G chord. Like that, so. Okay. Now to the A chord. I'm just going to use one finger to bar down to the B string. Same idea. Then I'm going to grab an open C, hit the low part of that, okay, and then do 2 eighth note strums. And then that last eighth note strum is just going to be open strings as I move my fingers back to the E. Okay, so. You get it up to speed, and it's really fun to kind of dig in. So this is a lot more of an aggressive kind of strum, you know, like. What we're going with for this one. Makes sense? It's a fun one. Okay, so that's a little simpler, right? And again, just go slow with it, right? It's mostly quarter note strums until the very end when you kind of double up on them on the eighth notes, right? Great question. All right, Buckeye Frank 1000. How do we avoid hitting the low E on the A and C chord? You'll notice the thumb comes up. Okay? And so I also want to try and focus my strums so that I'm just hitting the A string. Okay? So I've been playing a long time, so I sort of built that into my strumming, okay, where I'm actually not grazing that low string. But in the case if you get like excited, you might graze that low string. And if in that case, that's why it's good to have the thumb just barely putting some flesh on that low string. Because if you hit it, it won't ring out, right? Same thing with the C chord. You can actually creep this part of the C chord, the C note right here on the A string. If you just sort of grab it so that the tippy top of your finger is just on that low string, it won't ring out. Okay, these are all sort of these really subtle things that you develop over playing for a long time, right? But if you're aware of it, you can work on these things, right? On the E chord, on the A chord. Just sort of get that thumb over there. And just, it doesn't have to wrap all the way around, just enough to deaden that string out, right? C chord, just experiment with that root note so that it's just grazing the low string. And practice it, right? Like you could practice it on, off. And strum the low string. Just do it over and over for a couple minutes. And do that for a couple weeks and build it in so you don't have to think about it. Okay? Make sense? Right? Hopefully that helps, Buckeye, but great question. Okay? Daryl, I just joined now. Sounds like I missed another excellent session. Will we rock? Excellent. Thanks, Daryl. Definitely give it a watch. Cool, cool. I appreciate it. All right. Heading into disco. I think this is only the second time I've done a disco riff, but I think everybody's familiar a little bit with We Are Family. This one's a little intense too, okay? So it gets going pretty fast. So again, but it's super worthwhile to practice this slowly, okay? I'm going to show you the chord progression first. We're using triads up the neck. Okay. Can we use bar chords here? Mario's got a great question. So I assume we're talking about the Paul Revere riff. That works great too. If you don't want to use the open chords, okay, you use a G bar chord going up to A and going up to C. Absolutely, you can do that. Okay, little bit of a different sound, right? But still pretty much the same, right? Right? Or even just the A, the G and the A, and then go up to C. You can do the C up here. Yeah, lots of ways to do it, right? So yeah, I encourage you guys to experiment. Place, riffs that just have open chords. Play them with bar chords. Kind of note the differences. Music's kind of wide open to interpretation. So, kind of go what you dig as far as a sound or how it feels under your fingers. Or you could take that riff and turn it into bar chord practice, right? You do that with anything. All right. Good one. I like that. Back to exercise 7, talking about the chords. So we're starting with an A chord, but we're using a triad up the neck. Okay, 14th fret of the D, G, and B string. That's an A major. And when you move that down 2 frets to 12 on the D, G, and B string, that's G major. And then we have this shape, moving up a little bit. So I apologize to those of you who are on the acoustic, but I will show you a way to play it a little bit down the neck in a second. But 16th fret of the D, 14th fret of the G, and 15th fret of... Did I miss that up? No, thankfully. It's correct on the tabs. 15th fret of the B string. That's a D major triad. Okay, with the major third in the bass. So that's a first inversion triad, major triad. Okay, so... And then it goes to an F chord up here, 15th of the D, 14th of the G, and then 13 barring down on the top 2 strings. Okay, that's your F major up there. Upper part of the F major bar chord. We're up there. Oh, H, you got the cutout. There you go. You're good. All right, so let me see if I can play this. Okay. So we've got some muted strums in there. We're 16th note strumming. It's a little bit tricky. Okay, so we play this really slow. Okay. Got to go slow with this funk stuff until you build it in. And again, you see my... trying to keep this going, okay? Especially in like a faster 16th note kind of rhythm groove. You need to kind of have that nice and relaxed and fluid so you can get up to speed. All right, so we've got this A, G, D, F chord progression. So if you're on an acoustic without a cutaway and you can't get up here to get this D triad, you can play what we were using for the F up here. You play it down 3 frets and play the D there if you'd like. So it look like this. And then move that shape up 3 frets to get the F. little bit tricky, a little bit more advanced, but well worth it if you want to get into really digging into your rhythm guitar, okay? Funky 16th note kind of stuff is really cool, really fun to play, and just slow it way down and just make sure you're getting your down ups strummed in the right spot. And remember to kind of mute that chord, right? I'm pushing down on the fret, and then when I want it to mute, I'm lifting off the frets but not the strings. Okay? That's what we're doing with that to try and make that sound. Okay? So there's a lot to it, but just go slow with it. Take it a bar at a time. Stay on one chord if you have to, and just work on that strum until you feel like you've got the strum, and then put the chord progression in. And again, you can do this super slow, right? Still sounds cool when you do it slow. I mean, I know it's impressive when you play it faster, but okay. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Mario, do you mute here, and how? Yes. Well, hopefully I just sort of, because your arm is loose and going like this the whole time. So it's all about, right? Your fingers are pressing down on the frets and then coming, releasing the pressure, but not off the string, so that it's still on top of the string to make the muting sound. Right? Okay, a little bit slower. Yeah, other strings, it's kind of so wide open that you got to be a little more accurate with your strum. I'm just focused on the top 4 strings. Okay? And then the occasional, like, if you have time to be able to kind of get this part of your hand down to the low strings just to make sure, right? But you kind of you can't really hold it there while you're doing it. Okay? So you sort of got to be a little more accurate with your strums up top. Make sense? All right. Disco. All right, the final one for tonight. And yeah, we're almost there, man. Crazy. Is some jazz, a little bit of a jazz rhythm. Okay, so this is a really great exercise. The strum is pretty straight ahead. What this is all about are kind of some jazzier bar chord type things that are really fun to practice because they're a little bit of finger twisters. Okay, so what we've got is a C major 7, 8th fret of the low string. I'm using my index finger. I curl it so that I'm muting the A string, and then I've got the 9th fret of the D and G, 8th fret of the B string. So just sort of scrunch your fingers in. Okay, scrunch your fingers in to make that happen, and you're muting. Okay, you're curling your fingers around to mute the high E string and the A string. Okay, C major 7. So I'm doing a downstroke and then a rest. So I'm using my karate chop on the next downstroke and then an upstroke, letting it ring out for the rest of the bar. So. Okay, so now we've got the C6-9 chord. You bar down at the 7th fret of the D and G and add the 8th fret of the B and high E string. Kind of a jazzy, kind of weird open chord, right? Open sounding chord, not an open chord, but. Okay, next one's a little bit tricky. Diminished 7th chord for C sharp. So you've got your middle finger on the root note, 9th fret of the low string, curling around to once again mute the A string. I'm barring down on the 8th fret of the D, G, and B string and adding my ring finger on the 9th fret of the G. That's It's your C sharp diminished 7th, transitioning 10th sounding chord, right? And of course, I'm muting the high E string again. Next one's an A7, okay? So I got the 7th fret of the D string, 9th fret of the G, 8th fret of the B string, 9th fret of the high string. Okay. D minor 7, D note, 10th fret of the low string, curling to mute the A string, and then just barring down on the 4th string all the way up. And then if you can get your pinky on the 12th fret of that, that's the next bar, the D minor 9. Okay, then G9, same position. Now I've got a G note, 10th fret of the A string. I'm getting the 9th fret of the D and then barring down the top 3 strings of the 10th fret. That's G9. And then this G7, pretty much the same lower notes, but you sort of have to reposition your fingers, okay? This is the C7 open chord, moved up so that the root's G. So I've got the 10th fret of the A string, 9th fret of the D, 10th fret of the G, 8th fret of the B. Put it all together, what does it sound like? Here we go. Ending it off with some mellow jazz for you all. But highly recommend, you know, if you're good with bar chords for major and minor, this is the next step, sort of these jazzier kind of extended chords. So this is a great practice just to get your fingers moving. It sounds kind of cool, right? A little bit impressive to be able to play this. So hopefully it sparks some of you to mess around with it, right? All right. Thanks for joining tonight. I super appreciate it. We got to keep warm, everybody, except for those down under. Enjoy your summer. Sounds amazing down there. Up here, we just got to keep warm. All right. Igor, thank you. Mario, thank you. Danny, Ryan, thanks. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Jim. King 50, thank you. HH. Thanks, Peter. John McCarthy, thank you. Zane, all right. See you next week. Did I play the piano first? No, I did not. Arthur, I'm not much of a piano player. This is here to tap out drum programming mostly. All right, Arthur, thank you. Mario, thank you. Steve. It's stuff for a hot day, jumping in the pool. All right. That is awesome. Glenn, stay warm, all right? It's crazy out there. Jim Gregory, thank you. Buckeye Frank, thank you. Take care, everybody. Next week, we'll be back. I think we're going to alternate each week, right? We did electric this week. I'm going to go back to acoustic next week, and we'll do some acoustic kind of stuff, okay? So we'll switch it up every week. Jay, thank you. Thanks for always joining. And Jeff, you too as well. All right, take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, a great next week. Stay warm. Cheers.